and welcome to the Healthy Half Hour podcast. We are your hosts, Richard and Karen Inslee.
The Healthy Half Hour podcast is your resource for all things healthy, and we will be discussing how to make nutrition, fitness and lifestyle choices work for you.
We will be sharing our own personal insights along with research gathered from working in the health and fitness industry for the past 10 years.
Our show is brought to you by the 7 Day Shred, which can be found at 7dayshred.com, and please feel free to visit our podcast website, which can be found at healthyhalfhourpodcast.com.
And now on to today's show.
Hi, Karen and Richard here again on the Healthy Half Hour podcast. And as promised, we said that we were going to touch on navigating the holiday season with regard to nutrition choices. And we're also going to just touch on, adding some extra movement into your routine over the holiday period, because at the end of the day, when we're invited out to parties over Christmas and we're doing more, we're trying to fit more social activities in, unfortunately, typically the first thing that gets sacrificed is our workout routines. Even if you're the most regimented gym bunny, we get pulled in all directions. If you've got kids, then you've got to navigate your social life around their activities. So often fitness is the one thing that gets sacrificed. So we're going to touch on that briefly at the end. But the main thing of today's podcast is to discuss how to navigate food choices, whether it's being invited out to a party, you've got a potluck at work, or just even entertaining yourselves, and how to manage that nutrition. And when it comes to looking at your food choices over the holiday season, don't actually plan on dieting, because you will actually end up binging more over the holiday season if you actually plan on dieting come the new year, that 1st of January concept where everybody decides to eat better, move more and just clean up their diet. And the other thing statistic wise is those people that follow a really strict diet year round are the ones that actually will gain more weight over the holiday season than those that take a more relaxed approach to it. And one of the things that Richard and I always say to our clients and friends is it's not what you eat between Christmas and New Year, it's what you eat between New Year and Christmas that will actually count when it comes to actually indulging a little bit over the holiday season.
Yeah, and it's my motto again, tied in with that, is I always say to people, maintain, don't gain. And I mean, that should really be the motto over the holiday season, Christmas period, because it's really tough. And if you're really trying to get your head around still losing weight and stuff and it's just so hard. Again, we're pulled in all directions, families, work and everything else that goes with. And if you're trying to do that and then you end up don't doing it, again, people just feel super disappointed. So you may as well just go with that goal of maintaining and not gaining.
And when it comes to justifying what you're doing over the holiday period, we live in Winnipeg, so our winters are long and everybody takes advantage of our gorgeous summers here. And a lot of it over the summer periods, our summers are short in comparison to our winter. So the cabin, beach activities and alcohol consumption, food consumption often is a little bit outside the box than what you would normally eat. And the holiday period is obviously always the same as well. But people often will come up with reasons to justify why they're doing what they're doing. And a lot of the times people over the holiday period will eat like it's their last supper. They will binge on goodness knows what foods, thinking, okay, well, I'm going to eat better in January. I'm going to diet as of the 1st of January. And it's a lose-lose situation, and people will often eat and eat and eat to excesses, thinking it's, like we say, taking that mentality of the Last Supper. And then come 1st of January, they've got that extra £15 to lose that they didn't have in the first place.
And again, especially if they've gone to a works function and the company's supplying the food, it's free. Go for it. Eat everything.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We just
My boss is paying.
We get stuck into that mentality of because it's not costing you anything and the company's paying, then you just eat absolutely everything. You can see.
And people will often say, "Oh, well, it's only once a year." And okay, it might be, but that's not another reason to just like you say, eat like it's going to be your last meal.
Yeah, you just lose all self-control in that situation. So again, we're going to look at some things that'll actually keep that self-control together and kind of some strategies to help.
And a lot of people say, "Well, it'd be really rude to refuse, and I can't say no." Well, actually, you can. You can say no. You don't have to be that obliger. And like I've already mentioned, people say like, "Oh, well, I'll start eating better after the holidays," which, yeah, all well and good. If you want to use January the 1st as your, like, starting point to like clean up the diet or whatever.
Because that's the only time you can start a diet is January the 1st on Monday.
Yeah, but if January the 1st doesn't fall on a Monday, we're all screwed. So I actually don't think it does this year.
2019 would be good.
And one of the other things is like, "Oh, well, I'll only have one." But if there's lots of like things that you only have one of, then again, things can escalate. People eat for sentimental reasons. They either because it reminds them of something, or it's like, "Oh, well, it's my grandma's birthday. Oh, it's a special occasion, and the person would be really upset if I didn't." No, they wouldn't. Like, you don't have to use sentimental reasons for eating. People often will get into a sugar and food coma because they literally overdose at these events. And one of the favourite ones is, "Oh, well, I'll starve myself all day because I know that I'm going to overindulge with the works party." And again, we're going to touch on some strategies like to help to avoid that. And we're going to touch also on liquid calories.
Because a lot of touching today.
Yeah, I know.
Bonus.
Yeah, you're lucky, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
And the brain doesn't sense liquid calories the same as it does solid food calories, which we're going to talk about. And also that you can't barter calories against exercise. So,
but I saw on Facebook it said do 50 burpees and it's equal to a Twinkie.
Well, hang on, let's get everybody to do 50 burpees and see if it works.
That's true. Yeah.
So
is everybody doing burpees? Anybody?
Hope so.
Okay.
Yeah. The cat is.
Yeah, there we go. I locked him out today. He's pain.
So we're just going to go through a few strategies that you can actually help you through the party season, and we're going to talk about some ways that you can actually still have fun, still indulge in some of those like choices that are given to you at the works or social parties.
And that's one thing. You basically don't want to be that person that stood in the corner chewing on a celery stick and not joining in.
The food Nazi.
Yeah, and nobody wanted looking down your nose at everybody else eating all the stuff. Nobody wants to be that person. So
you don't have to be.
No, be sensible and join in. And again, that's what we're going to try, hopefully get across today to give you those strategies to help. Anyway, enough of promising strategies. Here we go.
One main thing when you're faced with a luncheon or a works party, especially if it's a buffet, because people tend to go a little bit more crazy when there's just a help yourself option, is survey the whole table before you actually put anything on your plate, and actually use a plate, because that is a really good visual. And what happens most of the time, especially when we've got a buffet, a potluck, you look at all this food and go, "Oh, I'll have one of these, one of these, one of these, one of these." And you just graze and keep picking and you go around the table. But if you actually have a plate and fill it and then move away from the table and then don't refill your plate, until you've actually finished what's on it. So move away from the table, and the plate size matters, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, for sure. And I mean, I've read books on different things with plate size. And I mean, they did a study and they actually got people into a movie theatre and they gave them an extra large free bag of popcorn. But the popcorn had actually been made a day prior, so it was soft. And people still ate at least 2/3 to 3/4 of the bag. And then the day after, they got the same, or the next week, they got the same people back in for another movie and then gave them a smaller bag of popcorn and they ate about the same amount, judging at the bag size, not the actual amount of popcorn. So we actually do look at plate sizes. And again, you can look on the internet. There's study after study after study that they've done, and they've given people a large plate and they've given people a small plate. And people will put more food on a larger plate. And I mean, as dumb as it sounds and as simple as it sounds, it is a real thing. And we actually don't get ourselves into that mindset of, oh, I'm going to take this, this, and this. You look at the plate and fill it.
Like to about 12 inches high. If it's a small plate, you're like, yeah.
Well, years ago, Karen used to work at Pizza Hut, and so we used to get like free food there. So we'd go to the salad bar and get a bowl. And then if you actually line the bowl at the top...
Because you were only allowed to go to the salad bar once. So we had awesome strategies.
So at the top of the salad bowl, if you actually went round with a couple of rings of slices of cucumber, you could make the bowl another 2 inches deeper. Oh, we'd got it all set up. So it was a one-hit salad bar, but we used to load the hell... And you can do that, you know what I mean? You put enough thought into it.
And when it comes to, especially potlucks and the buffet table... Statistically, it's been proven that the more variety that there is, the more that you will actually eat. So, be aware of that as well. Because, I mean, yeah, admittedly, you actually do want to try everything, but try and pick a few things and then, like you say, eat them, let it go down a bit, and then go back and try some of the other ones that look appealing.
So an easy, quick one for looking, like Karen said, surveying the table and looking at it is try to look for one ingredient foods that are on there. So what we mean,
like a celery stick.
Yeah. So what we mean when we say like one ingredient things, like you say, it is like a celery stick. It's not something processed or something that somebody's made and they've put like 30 different things in it. So a slice of ham is one ingredient because it's just pork at the end of the day. Again, sliced tomatoes, celery sticks, things like that. These things may be look a little uninteresting, but if you put 2/3 of that stuff on your plate, then you've just cleaned taken a lot of options out, and then the other third can be, some of the processed stuff and some different things that are mixtures of or been made.
And when it comes to, say, a potluck at work, or if you host a party at home and responsible for people bringing foods and you're supplying them, be aware of leftovers. When it comes to regular nutrition choices, I always advise clients make plenty of food for your supper so that you've got quality leftover foods to take for lunch the next day. But when it comes to the party season, there's going to be lots of typically like leftovers. So there'll be lots of processed foods like chips and dips. And if you keep it, you will eat it. Like, trust me. I mean, even I've been guilty of this before. We've had potluck parties at our house and you've put things in the fridge, like when people have left, and you look at it the next day like, oh, I'm a little bit peckish. And it really is like, if you keep it, you will eat it. So be aware of that it's not always about just navigating your food choices actually at the event or the party. Is that it could be that you go a little bit overboard with the food choices the next day and the day after because there's lots of leftovers in the fridge at work or at home. So one
thing, again, get people to take this. If the people brought a bowl full of stuff, get them to take it back home with them.
Unless it's a bottle of wine.
Well, that's true.
I'll keep the wine.
And like with, again, if people have left stuff or you've got things, either take it to your work and put it on the lunchroom table, or get your spouse to take it to work and put it on and basically people will come in and hoover that stuff up, believe me. So I mean, it's just out of sight, out of mind for you, and then let everybody else have those calories.
And if you go to a works event and you do overindulge and you feel like the next day you feel crap, like you're bloated, you feel like you weigh 300 pounds and you just feel horrible. Like, don't throw the towel in just because you've had one night of excesses. It's when there's those consistent and continual excesses. But if you overindulge one night at a works party or party at your house or a friend's house, yeah, don't throw the towel in. It is what it is. Just pick yourself up and move on.
It's not the end of the world.
No.
And one really good strategy, again, if you go into those works functions or going out somewhere and you know the food choices are going to be probably restricted, is don't go hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean when I say don't go hungry, I mean don't actually arrive hungry. Eat something before you go. Have a healthy fat, healthy protein before you go, and that'll keep you satiated. So naturally, you won't eat less anyway because you're already feeling fairly full. I mean, don't go stuffed because don't eat nothing. So just be smart about it. And again,
especially if your boss is paying for it, because
well,
you want
true.
it.
Yeah. So just be a little smart about it, and just don't arrive hungry.
I mean, like I say, eat nutrient dense foods throughout the day. So I said earlier that a lot of people will starve themselves all day. Yeah, don't have like 3 full meals and then expect to go to a party and indulge and take advantage of some of the foods on offer. But, quality proteins and even things like, even though I'm not a huge advocate of like liquid calories or smoothies or anything, but say if like your employer, you're going to get this sit down meal and it's going to be 5 courses, there's going to be wine, there's going to be an awesome dessert, you've seen the menu in advance, then have some quality nutrition throughout the day so that you don't binge and eat way over what you would normally or drink in excess. So things like a quality minimal ingredient protein powder with avocados, frozen berries like kale and spinach in there. But put some quality nutrition into a shake. It's not going to fill you up, but it's going to be the healthy proteins, fats, and some good sugars in the form of like the frozen berries and fruit, so that you don't feel heavy and lethargic, but at least it's some quality nutrition that's going to feed you at a cellular level. It's going to give you those macronutrients, but you're still going to enjoy the meal when you get there.
And when they do come round with a sweet cart, just ask for one dessert and 2 spoons. Share it with a workmate, share it with your spouse. Don't eat the whole thing, just have a couple of bites. And again, nothing's getting thrown away then, because we always get that from when you were a kid. Your mum's leaning over you saying, finish the plate, there's people starving in Africa. So again, we sometimes have that mental thing of, we just need to finish up and clean the plate. So again, share with people. And like Karen says, we alluded to earlier on, she just mentioned again, is the liquid calories. So remember that alcohol has got 7 calories per gram. So it is fairly calorically dense for what it is. And also, once we start drinking those liquid calories, it tends to, we lose our inhibitions a little bit. And there's always one that's dancing on the table at the end and they've really lost their inhibitions.
And singing karaoke. And,
But when it comes to food, we'll, have a couple of drinks, have 2 glasses of wine, maybe on an empty stomach, and then you'll look at the buffet and you think, screw it, let's go for it. Because again, those inhibitions have been lost now just purely through to that alcohol and how it's affected us. And the other big one with alcohol is you have, I'm just going to have like a small glass, and then they put a gallon of mixer in with it. So remember, a lot of those mixers are full of sugar or aspartame and things. Again, it can have negative effects on our health and also on our dietary goals.
And it isn't a case of not, or should I say, it's not a case of avoiding the works parties or avoiding all the foods and being that, like we said earlier, that one person in the corner of the room and like eating a celery stick and looking down a nose. It's like, be realistic, make sensible nutrition choices throughout the earlier part of the day. And then I'm actually sat here listening to on the door, and I think we have a cat that...
So I shut the door and he still wants to come in.
Yeah, he thinks he's missing out. So Mr. Binkers gets involved in our videos when we do them, and obviously he wants to get involved in our podcast as well now. And he made us open the door. Now he's walked up. Right. So back to the podcast, because obviously we have to navigate our activities around our cats. So yeah, just don't be that one person. Just be realistic. And I think like I've already alluded to, the one thing that I think is the most important, like I've already said, is survey the table first. Just have a walk round. I mean, even if there's something on there that's your favorite canapé or appetizer, just like walk around the whole table and actually, like, say, fill a small plate, but socialize, like, why, and socialize away from the table. So survey the table, fill a small plate, and walk away from the table, and make it so that you have to walk a distance to get back to the table. And obviously it's an exercise in itself, which we are going to touch on.
So the other thing as well with that is if you have a plate and then you think, oh, I'll go and get another one, grab a glass of water, sip on the water, wait 15 minutes, have a little chat with your friends or whatever, and then see after 15 minutes whether you really need to go and have another plate or not. Because a lot of the time that digestive signal that comes up from the gut to say, hey, I'm full, takes a little bit of time to get to the brain, and we don't always act on that. And then you'll go back, have another plate, get halfway through it, and then realise that you need to put your stomach on a two-wheeler to get it out of the room because you're just so bloated now and so fat. So again, take your time eating what you're eating, talk to people, socialise, and then wait that 15 minutes or so. And if still after 15 minutes you really, really want something, then go and have it. And always remember that if you have like some healthy proteins and some healthy fats that you find on the buffet table, there's always room for cake because it's that sugary.
It's amazing that you'll always find, well, I personally won't, but I mean, you'll always find a room for dessert.
One of the reasons, well, a couple of reasons. One is because if you put like a sugary dessert in your mouth, it just melts. So if you're really kind of stuffed and then somebody says, oh, would you like some ice cream or a piece of cake? Then you eat it because it melts in your mouth. If somebody come up and said, oh, do you want 4 ounces of chicken? There's no way you'd be able to eat 4 ounces of chicken because the chewing effect and everything, your brain would just say, you really don't want this. But because of how it melts down in your mouth, it just almost turns itself to a liquid. And again, there was a guy it was actually on YouTube, I believe. This guy's in an ice cream eating competition. So this guy's eating ice cream, and this thing's like a pail of ice cream. It's like 3 gallons or something. So he's eating this ice cream, and he gets 2/3 of the way down it. And what happens then? He starts to turn green, and the guy is really struggling to finish this ice cream. So he sits back in the chair and says to the organisers, I want a plate of cooked French fries with tons of salt on them. So they bring this plate of French fries. He eats like 2 or 3 French fries and then starts to eat the ice cream again. And then so he keeps doing this. Couple of mouthfuls of ice cream, a couple of French fries, couple of mouthfuls of ice cream, couple of French fries. Why? Because the neural regulation of appetite, his brain was so tired of ice cream that he gave his brain and his taste buds something completely opposite, which was something crunchy, warm and salty, as opposed to something sweet and liquid. And his brain kind of then started accepting the sweet liquid back again.
So I should eat French fries in between glasses of wine?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
So remember, a lot of this is in your head, and a lot of there are strategies. I mean, that's a strategy to eat more, which is 180 degrees of what we're trying to tell you not to do. So, but just as a kind of that neural regulation of appetite, it's just the things that you can actually do to trick your brain to get yourself to eat more, but counter on the opposite way, it's things you can do to eat less as well. So.
And as Richard just said, put in quality proteins and fats on your plate. So yeah, have a mixture. So if there's some like appetizers and canapes that like are so your favorite, or they just look so appealing, just intermingle them with other, like, because a lot of times it's like cheese plates and fruits and other things. So just don't fill the whole plate with appetizers. Just like put variety on there so that you've got quality fats, quality proteins, and have some of those favorite appetizers. But yeah, it's like I say, we're not saying don't avoid like everything. It's just be very strategic with like the way that you approach it, really.
And one of the things that Karen said right at the top of the show was all about movement and exercise. And like I say, once you get into that kind of holiday thing, you're out with relatives, you're doing lots of different things, and kind of the gym routine goes out the window, and you've not really got time to do anything, and it all just goes pear-shaped. And more often than not, if we actually do some exercise or movement, it can actually help with just digestion, peristalsis, so a lot of different things, and it can just in your brain, it can kind of help you too, just to kind of settle things down and get rid of that stress of eating too much food.
Because a lot of those processed foods and how they're going to make you feel, like we just said, like lethargic and heavy and like bloated and gassy, then if you're actually moving more and doing something, it is going to help with the digestion and you're not going to feel as uncomfortable.
So one of the easiest things you can do is go for a walk. Even if it's only 20 minutes, it's fairly brisk, or you go out with the family for an hour or something, you go out to the park, or you just go round the mall or something, but you're moving. And again, that can really just help with that peristalsis and just getting things moving around your body.
And again, I said that we live in Winnipeg, so our winters are pretty cold and pretty long. But on Christmas Day, we'll have like a typical, Christmas lunch, the two of us will. But regardless of like how cold it is, we'll make sure that we just go out for however long. Sometimes we've been out for a few hours. Other times we've walked just down the road, haven't we?
Yeah,
just fresh air and
just get stuff moving. And you'll be amazed how that digestive process can be really help with that. And again, you're kind of feeling heavy after tons of turkey and cranberry sauce and everything else. Cranberry sauce.
Stuffed crust.
It'll just really help with that. One of the things, again, with movement is people don't realise, like household chores. So vacuuming, laundry, things like that. Relatives come, relatives go. So just keeping the place clean, it's movement. So again, think of it as movement. Look at how you're actually cleaning. Do some squats while you're doing things. Do some walking lunges while you're vacuuming. It's not rocket science, but you can add a little bit of extra movement into the movement you're already doing.
I tell my boot campers to lunge behind their grocery cart as they're in the grocery store, but none of them ever do.
No, just don't want to look weird like us. Over Christmas period, again, local gyms, if you're in a local gym, sometimes they've got organised classes. We don't want to put our brain into gear to try and think, oh, what am I going to do at the gym today? Sometimes just show up for a spin class or a yoga class or something else.
A step class.
Something different that somebody else has organised, that you just show up and do it. So again, you've not got to put that extra little bit of brain power in there. Whereas you
unless
normally,
it's a step class, then you do have to, yeah.
But you'd like say when you go to the gym and things and you actually, you're lifting weights and things and you kind of got to either say, if you've not got a training program to follow, it can just be a little bit of a no-brainer to go to an organised class. One thing, again, along with the walking, skipping back to that, is if you've got kids, grandkids, play with them. Do stuff with them. Do activities with them. Chase them around the house. Do hide, go, seek and all the usual stuff. Again, it's movement. It just gets the blood pumping in your body and just starts to use some of that, burn some of that extra blood sugar you've got floating around. And it can just help just kind of relax you too. Outdoor activities, like Karen says, we're over in Winnipeg. So, one thing people love to do is like cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, things like that.
Or just walking.
Yeah, and if you're not, but just get out and about and just do some extra activities.
That fresh air and sunshine.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
And we, obviously in town, the rivers freeze over, so we've got skating and other things we can do. But if you've not got those, go for a walk in the hills if you live in the boonies, like in the central England or wherever you're from, and just get out, even borrow your neighbour's dog and take that for a walk if necessary. It's and one thing, again, we did a presentation last week. We kind of looking at this Move More scenario, and we put together a little easy 5-minute workout.
With burpees.
One easy workout is called a Tabata. So a Tabata workout is 20 seconds of exercise and 10 seconds of rest. It doesn't sound a lot, so I did 5 exercises, and we did 5 exercises for 20 seconds with a 10-second rest in between each one, and we did them twice over. It was a 5-minute workout. We had some pink faces in that room and some heavy breathing, and there was no equipment needed. Again, we did some burpees, some tricep dips, some squats, some mountain climbers, and it was some
push-ups,
and push-ups, yeah, and it was just easy, just put together, but it soon gets your heart rate up. And it was just 5 minutes, and the people were actually amazed that 5-minute workout actually did what it did to them and actually got even just a little bit of a sweat on with some of them too. So it's not out of the way, don't belittle 5-minute a workout. It's just easy to throw in there somewhere. And if you look at my website, RPE Fitness, and go to videos, there's some different videos in there and exercise routines I've put in there. So again, have a look at those. Something might just spark your interest.
And you've got an Instagram account, RPE Fitness Inc., is it?
Yeah, so the Instagram is RPE Fitness. Again, there's videos on there. I post workouts on there. Again, just simple things. Some of them you need exercise weights for, and maybe a bit of equipment. Some of them not. So if you've got that thing, it's a no-brainer just to follow along and do those.
And we just did this 5-minute workout with this company the other day. But like I say, 5 minutes, you could do that 3 times through, 15 minutes. If you've got more time, you can just add the 5 minutes, and just duplicate it. Or you can, if you've got some weights, you can add your own exercises in there. So it's just simple, but any movement is better than no movement. So I hope that we've given you a few strategies that you can use over the holiday period. And as I said multiple times, we don't want you to not have fun. We don't want you to not enjoy the holiday season, but there's just a few strategies that can help you manage it better, because we don't want people to get to the 1st of January and be 10 to 15 pounds heavier, because it really does happen. So hopefully we've, given you a few ideas that you can implement. And
talking of the 1st of January.
Oh yes.
The next podcast will be on New Year's resolutions and goal setting.
Oh, so that's what we're going to be talking about on our next podcast.
So the next podcast will be just after Christmas, just before New Year. And that's what we're going to be talking about, goal setting and New Year's resolutions. So happy Christmas from Richard and Karen.
And we will talk to you after Christmas Day, sometime then. That's all we have time for right now, but we do hope that you join us for our next show. And if you want to contribute to an upcoming show by suggesting a topic that you would like us to discuss in more detail, then hop over to our website, healthyhalfhourpodcast.com, subscribe to our podcast and submit your suggestions. The Healthy Half Hour Podcast was brought to you by the 7-Day Shred, and don't forget to share our details with your friends and review our show. Until next time, thanks for listening.